I am going to play the piano accordion today. I will play it on camera in a few minutes, but first I want to talk a little bit about creativity and disappointment. My life for a long time has revolved around creativity because ultimately that's what writing books is. It's a creative endeavor. I don't think of myself as being a creative person, but because I've dedicated so much of my life to writing fiction, I guess ultimately I am. I don't think of myself that way because I don't believe I come at writing with the same creative storytelling spark that other people do. I really am more of a knowledge person, a curious person, an observant person. That's what I'm writing. And I guess that's why I write comedy, because to me, I look at the world and I think it's funny. And of course, a lot of times it's very difficult and hard too, but ultimately it's funny. For example, my creative disappointment in life is kind of humorous when I look back on my self-pitying thoughts about how I can't find an audience. I don't know how to market my books. I don't, ultimately, I'm not a musician, even though I'm having fun trying to learn how to play these accordions, but sometimes it all just builds up inside. And I think, what is the purpose to all of this? Why am I doing this? And I have to rethink what my life is about, because it's really not about the acclaim of the world. It's not about having a big audience. And now, creativity, the impulse to be creative, I really think is connected to community. We do have that spark inside of us, I believe, because our creator endowed us with it, because he is a creator, so he endowed us with the desire to create. And writers create entire worlds. Of course, they're not tangible worlds like God created. We can't knock on them like we can with the world that God created. And there, of course, are artists who create physical objects that are tangible, but books, really, the stories in them aren't. They do something to our hearts and souls, I believe, and our minds. I think we can build our minds by reading books as well, but not tangible, but definitely we have that creative spark and we want to share it with others. I don't know what I went off on. I kind of forget what I'm talking about. Even if I've planned out all these bullet points of what I'm going to say, I just, it doesn't really happen when I actually get it. It's the same thing when I teach a class. I get up there and I've got like this whole outline, and then I just depart from it and I don't know, and then I lose my spot and I don't know where I am. But I think that's the problem with my brain and focus, and it's really shocking that I'm able to finish any books at all. Anyway, it becomes exhausting after a while when you are constantly in creative pursuits but there's no results. And I think about, yes, the creative process is why I do it. I love to write books. I love to try to learn music. That's something that excites me, fills me with joy and happiness, and I don't know what I would do without it. To me, it's an adventure. Other people have adventures where they're hiking mountains. I actually like to hike too, but I mean, writing a book is just as much of an adventure to me as hiking a tall mountain might be for another person. And I actually really love to walk. But that gets me to, I want to hold that thought for just a minute. Creative disappointment. Yesterday, I was exhausted. I decided that I was going to sing in the choir at Mass because I didn't know who all would show up. And I thought, well, I'll help the pianist in case not very many people showed up. And thankfully, quite a few people showed up to be in the choir. It was exciting to have. But at the last minute, I ended up being the cantor. And I get that too, because if somebody doesn't step up and be the cantor, then the pianist has to do it. Somebody has to do it. And I really wasn't prepared for it. I had listened to and kind of sung the responsorial earlier in the day, but I wasn't that familiar with it, especially the words. Like I'd listened to it in the office, but I didn't sing through all of the verses. And I really didn't know the Alleluia at all. And that's really what the timer for my rice went off right in the middle of my video. It just like pops down on the screen. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go take care of that. Sorry about that little glitch. But that's really what the cantor has to do. They have to do the responsorial and the Alleluia, and then everything else are the normal Mass parts, and you might change Mass settings and do a different. That's kind of funny because the pianist started playing one Alleluia and then he changed it to another, and then I kind of sang one that was halfway between both, and I'm like, oh boy, that didn't sound quite right, but that's what, you know, it was good. It was a good Mass anyway, but I didn't feel like I sang very well, and I don't like doing things at the last minute. I don't like doing things when I'm not prepared for them because I am not skilled like other people. I don't have a lot of natural talent for, I don't know, not for, I haven't found my natural talent. So we'll just put it that way. But I'm just not good. I have to prepare. And even sometimes when I do prepare, I still don't do very well, but it's better if I prepare. And I felt the same way because I was so tired. I got off work and then I went for a walk and then I went to the Mass and then I went home, step by step through my day, my super exciting day. But I was tired. But it was World Accordion Day, and I felt like I gotta play my accordion because it's World Accordion Day. I should be having a party, I should be making videos with playing my accordion, but I was so tired and hungry that I kind of just grabbed my accordion and started playing while my food was cooking, and I didn't play very well. And I had actually told some friends that I would post a video of me playing the accordion for World Accordion Day, and I really couldn't get any decent clip that didn't have errors or lags or whatever. Finally, I just grabbed a minute of, when I was playing, and then I realized that I had played the intro to a song and then I repeated 2 parts of the song, which is how the song is played. You play the intro and then it goes right into the lyrics and the music that plays with the lyrics, and that plays twice through before you get to a part without any accordion, and the lyrics move on without the accordion until you get back to the intro, but it's not the intro by that time, it's the chorus. Anyway, but a lot of the songs I play are very repetitive. That makes it easier to memorize the parts, but the parts aren't always easy to play. Anyway, the song seems simple until you just try to play it, and then it's not as simple. But I realized I was lagging in that first section with the lyrics, and so I decided to cut it out. So there's like this, it ended up being like a 40-second instead of a minute-long video, and it kind of just has this like little lag where I jump from the intro to the second part of the music, and so it wasn't great, but I posted it anyway, and I'm like, I just felt so disappointed in myself and in my musical endeavors. And this is a journey that, learning music is an adventure, learning the accordions is an adventure, but it was an adventure that exhausted me yesterday, and I just felt low, like, where you get these thoughts, these where you just suddenly lose confidence in yourself, and you're like, I'm a terrible singer, and I can't play the accordion, and I'll never reach an audience, and it's the same way with my books. But then when I think about it, and I think about that the creative process for me is really about doing it, and it's not about the results necessarily, even though that would be nice. It would be nice to make money off of my books. I would love that. That would be amazing. But, and this was the entire point of my video, and I'm trying to figure out how to say this. It's just, we never know where the paths of life are going to take us, okay? So years and years ago, when I was trying to publish my first book. It wasn't the first book I'd written, but it was the first book that I really, really wanted to have published. And I tried to find agents. I tried to get interested from publishers. I tried to publish traditionally, and I got rejection and rejection and rejection. But in the past, that's all I'd ever gotten, was rejection. I had spent a good amount of time sending off my poetry. I'd created quite a collection of poetry, and I wanted to have my poetry published. And so I started sending it off to all these poetry magazines, and I got rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection. And I, to this day, have not had any acceptance as far as that goes. I have been a part of some magazines and journals and collections, and because I knew the publishers who were putting them together, I did have some works in there, but I don't know if that really counts because they were friends of mine. So, I mean, I guess if they didn't like my work, they wouldn't have allowed it in. But so I guess I take my acceptance from what it is. But I had all these years of rejection, and I thought, okay, well, I'll self-publish. So I self-published my first book, and that was an adventure in itself because I had to learn how to do all of that. And I love that I learned those skills. I would not have learned those skills without having to do that, without self-publishing. And well, I mean, maybe I would have, but I really had an incentive to learn. And I really didn't make a lot of money off my books. I made a little bit here and there, especially with my first book. I had people who wanted to try it, and so I probably sold the most of that book. And I would keep selling, a book here and a book there for several months. And then as I published more and more books, my sales declined, more and more. And so it was frustrating, but it just was what it was. I didn't have a plan. Well, I mean, I did have a plan, but life throws monkey wrenches in your, I don't even know what that means. I've talked about that before. Like, what does it mean to throw a monkey wrench in your plans? I don't know. I kind of have a vision of what a monkey wrench is in my head, but I don't know how it disturbs your plans exactly, unless somebody clobbers you over the head with one. And I suppose that could really disrupt your life plans. But anyway, what I was going to say is, when I moved to Roswell, I found this town to be very difficult to connect with because it's very cliquish and it's a small town. And I think that a lot of this like alien nonsense has created sort of like a wall. Or maybe it's just the people. I don't really know. I don't really know why Roswell is so cliquish, but it really is. But they do get a lot of international tourists who are rude and nasty and disrespectful. So maybe that's why, maybe that's the reason for it. And, I was in customer service when I first moved here, and you wouldn't believe the nastiness of people who would blame the customer service workers for the fact that Roswell did not live up to expectations. They were expecting like alien theme parks, or I don't know what they were expecting, but they didn't find it. And instead they would get all mad at the customer service workers, like it's their fault that Roswell is lacking in whatever their imagination, lacking compared to their imagination. But in any case, I was a little lonely, and it was difficult. But I had friends at work, and sometimes we would go out, and they were quite a bit younger than me because I was an older person, and I spent most of my time as a homemaker, raising my children, and so I didn't really have the opportunity to get a job with adults my age. But I love young people, it was fun hanging out with them. And so I had those people, but otherwise it was difficult making connections. And I met people here and there, and I actually met a girl who became a woman who became my best friend, and then she moved from Roswell, which just that's typical. It happens. Anyway, I think about if I had become successful as an author, yeah, I wouldn't have had to go through all that customer service nonsense in Roswell, because I could make money off of my writing, and or at least, one hopes to make a living. Because I do make money here and there. It's just one wants to make a living, right? But I think about that, and I would not have the job that I have at the Catholic Church if I had become a successful author. And to me, that job at the Catholic Church has brought me friends, community, a refuge. It is my place. And I value my friendships there so highly. I don't know what I would do without that. And I think, well, all of that disappointment that I felt, all of that, when your disappointment is so acute that you just lose all the energy in your body, like you just don't feel like you can even take a step. You're so disappointed because after rejection comes, you just feel it. Like it's hard to get to that point where you can just steel your heart and soul against that rejection. It really is. But when you're in that moment, when you're feeling it, yes, you should be able to feel your emotions. You should feel them as they come. That's fine. You're human. I'm human. And I'm not just you. I am too. I'm not AI and I'm not a robot. And I have feelings and I need to feel them. But at the same time, I don't want to cling to them and get trapped in them, because I don't know the future. And at that point, when I published that first book, I didn't know I was going to be living in Roswell. I didn't know how lonely I was going to be. I didn't know that this Catholic parish would become my refuge, and getting a job there was how I became part of the community. Because before that, I would just go to Mass and I didn't know anybody, or I knew hardly anybody, and not enough to really to call up and talk to, not like that. I would just go to Mass and then I would leave, because I didn't, even if people invited, they used to do coffee and donuts. They don't do that anymore. COVID kind of put a stop to that. That's probably not the reason why it stopped, but it stopped during COVID, and then it never really started again. But for whatever reasons, that's, I wasn't here. I didn't work there during that time period. I came just after COVID. Anyway, I would hear that and I'm like, I'm not going to go awkwardly sip coffee and not know anybody. So I never went. And maybe if I went, somebody would have talked to me and been nice to me. I don't know. People are very friendly at the parish I go to. But it really took, for me being a very shy person, it took working at the church and getting to know people through that, and then volunteering from that position where I felt more comfortable volunteering. And now I have friends in a community that I value more than I value money. And the job pays, it's enough. It's not enough to be wealthy, but it is enough. And I have that. And there's no way you can replace the wealth of friends. And that's really what I want to get at, is that whenever we feel this acute disappointment, we should allow ourselves to feel it. And we should feel it even when we lose confidence. But we should know that there are things in life that are more important and more valuable than succeeding in the world, than worldly success, where somebody's like, wow, you're a great accordion player, or wow, you're a great singer, or they want to actually put down money to buy the books that you write. There's something greater than that, and that is your friends. And maybe your friends might like to read your books, but honestly, I don't care whether they read my books. Maybe they think I was batshit crazy if they read my books. I don't know, because they're comedies and they are a little crazy. Anyway, my timer went off for my rice. I did go turn it off, and I turned off my timer too, but now it's sitting over there and I'm very hungry. So I'm gonna go eat my dinner, and I will come back shortly to play a little accordion, and I'm not gonna worry about a lack of confidence. Now, I don't know how to play the piano accordion at all, so I'm a complete novice, and I'm not gonna let that get me down. I have been playing the diatonics for a while and I'm still not great. I'm not going to let that get me down either. I will probably post that like little 40-second blip on my summary I'm going to try to do on Sunday, because I'm going to try to change how I do this. You know, do some shorter videos throughout the week and then a summary on Sunday, hopefully, if I can manage it. But I just wanted to get on to here to say that when you feel disappointment, yeah, let yourself feel it. It's okay to feel things. If you're a human being like me, I'm a human being, it's okay, but pick yourself up. And generally, I was going to come back to this, you know, talking about climbing mountains. Some people have adventures that are climbing mountains. Well, great. I used to climb mountains when I was young. There aren't really any mountains here, but you can go hiking up like in Ruidoso. That's where you'd go hiking. But I do go walking every day. And it's amazing what a walk does to completely change my perspective. Now, I do recall being so heavy with disappointment from rejections that I received that it was hard to even force myself to walk, and the walk didn't really help that much. But it does. It still helps. No matter what, the walk helps, because when you get out and you move and you're out in the fresh air and you look around you. Now, in those days, I lived in Socorro, and we lived in the foothills of the Magdalenas, and the views were beautiful and the sky marvelous. And so you had the mountain behind you over here, and to the east you had all of the mesas, and so you could see the rippling clouds over the mesas, and it was really amazing, beautiful. And actually, that is what is the image in my YouTube channel. That is from Socorro. Even though this is a Roswell channel, that's a Socorro skyline, because my heart is still partly in Socorro. Anyway, it just gives you a perspective where you see God's handiwork, God's world, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and it gives you a different perspective. And of course, exercise is always good for the soul, and it's wonderful. And by the way, even though I did a terrible job singing yesterday, I mean, with the choir, sure, because we all sound good together. Communal singing is amazing for the soul. I encourage you, if you have any desire to sing at all, to sing in a choir, because it does something for the health that nothing else can do, singing with other people. It is amazing. But, you know, when I was doing the cantor parts, I didn't sing very well, but I didn't let that stop me from singing in my office today. I sang, and it was wonderful. I loved it. I sang for probably 2 hours straight, and it made me feel wonderful. The office was very slow because the priest is out of town, so people aren't calling to talk to the priest right now. And there's no mass. There was no mass today. That's why it was slow, and I could sing at the top of my lungs. It was wonderful. So I will be back in a few minutes to play this piano accordion after I have eaten some food, because I'm hungry and I love food. And yes, that also helps you with disappointment. If you're not eating and you're not exercising and you're not doing the things that make you feel good, then obviously you're not going to feel great. You're not going to get over that. You're going to get trapped in that disappointment. So that is my recommendation, is to, well, look to the future, of course, because you never know what the future is going to hold. Go for a walk and eat some good food. Okay, I am cutting off my head a little bit so that you can see more of this accordion here that I'm trying to focus on. It's quite a nice vintage instrument. I think it's quite pretty. I'm sure there are prettier accordions, but I like it. I think it's nice. Okay, I've got it resting on my left knee. I'm trying to sit up straight. I'm trying to have good posture. I think that I need to adjust my straps, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll do that later. When I was at the shop, okay, so the accordion did not have the straps on, and the shop owner put the straps on, and he didn't really know what he was doing. I believe he put them on backwards. This one just doesn't feel right. Anyway, I will adjust that later. I probably need to get new straps anyway. They're quite cracked, and but but all I know is that it's not right. The way it is, it's not right. Whatever you did, it's not correct. And yeah, that should be the same as with my other accordions, even though this is a bigger instrument. I am going to just learn the keyboard. It should be simple because it's a piano. It's basically part of a piano keyboard. And that is F. So we're going to go up until we find middle C. So, these bellows are quite tight. I'm surprised. Maybe they're just heavy because they're large. Maybe that's why. I assume that, you know, accordions usually, if you play them for a while, the bellows get looser. You know, new accordions have fairly tight bellows, and then you play them and they get looser as you play them. And the accordion just gets easier to play. It gets a nicer sound and easier to play. So here we are. Okay, so we're ending on A, although that got a little bit high for my vocal cords there, even though I'm a soprano. That's a bit of a stretch for me. Maybe if I worked my way up to it, I could sing it. I don't know. But it ends with La, which is A. I always use the do, re, mi because that's what I'm used to. I can switch back and forth, kind of just like with the, you know, the songs that I play are generally played in the do, re, mi. Or, I mean, it's the same, but that's how they're referred to in the Norteño songs, and I'm used to it, just like I'm used to listening to everything in Spanish, and you kind of just have to switch back and forth, and it's okay, it's good. Anyway, it has 27 keys, and that means it has like 3 scale, and I do believe that I counted that as I was going up, three octaves and a few extra notes. So yeah, and I'm going to go find a video that will teach me a simple song, and which will encourage me to want to keep playing. Yes, keep my hair out of the way. There's nothing worse than getting your hair caught in the bellows. And it's honestly, with this giant accordion, I might just put my hair up in like a ponytail. So it doesn't get caught in the bellows, because that would be funny if I just like kind of ripped my hair out. I mean, I don't know about funny, haha funny, or just kind of funny, weird funny. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you.